The night was heavy with rain, the kind that drowned out every sound and pressed against the city until it seemed to stop breathing. James sat alone in his office, the faint glow of a desk lamp tracing weary shadows across the walls. Papers lay scattered on the table, unfinished reports, failed proposals, and the final confirmation of what he had feared for months. The company he had built from nothing was falling apart. He leaned back, removed his glasses, and pressed his fingers to his temple. For months, he had fought the inevitable: debts, deceit, betrayal. Every effort had only dragged him deeper. Once, his name had meant power, vision, success. Now it whispered of pity. He exhaled a breath that carried exhaustion and quiet defeat. He glanced at the framed photo on his desk. Deep smiled softly beside little Nee, the girl's tiny hand clutching a garden flower. It used to be his source of strength. Tonight, it only reminded him how far he had drifted. Maybe I should just stop, he murmured. Maybe this is the end. Outside, the rain answered in rhythmic despair. For the first time, James felt small, not as a CEO or a husband, but as a man who had given everything and still lost. His phone buzzed. A message from Deep. Dinner is ready. Don't stay too late again. Nee drew a picture of you today. She said Daddy is a superhero. James closed his eyes. He didn't feel like a superhero. He felt broken. Yet beneath the fatigue, something stirred, faint, stubborn. He picked up the photo again and traced Deep's smile with his thumb. Fragile, but full of faith. Faith he no longer had in himself. He sat there, caught between surrender and the memory of two people who believed in him. Their faces, their laughter, their love, they were about to pull him back from the edge. The next morning dawned clear. Golden light spilled through the window, touching the wet streets and the little house where Deep and Nee waited. James stood at the doorway, exhaustion clinging to him. He opened the gate quietly. Laughter met him, Nee's bright, melodic laughter. He followed it to the kitchen. Deep was cooking breakfast. Nee sat on the counter, swinging her legs and holding a crayon. Daddy, she shouted, running to him and wrapping her arms around his leg. James knelt down and hugged her tight. The warmth of that embrace broke something inside him. The heaviness began to fade. Good morning, my little angel, he whispered. Deep turned, wiping her hands. You're home early. I thought you had another meeting. I cancelled it, he said quietly. I just needed to see you too. Deep paused, sensing the weight in his voice. She didn't ask. Instead, she poured him coffee and said, "Sit down." "Eat with us." Nee proudly showed James her drawing, a stick figure with a cape and a big grin. "That's you, Daddy? You save people." James chuckled, though his voice trembled. "Do I look that strong?" "You do to me," she said. Deep smiled softly. "She's right. You've always been strong, even when you think you're not." Her words hit him harder than any blow. He looked at them, his world, his reason. For the first time in months, James smiled. Not the smile of a CEO, but of a man rediscovering purpose. "No matter what happens," he said softly, "I'll keep going. For you too." Deep took his hand. "That's all we ever wanted. Not your success, your heart." The days that followed were not easy. The company was collapsing. Contracts cancelled, investors withdrawn, employees gone. But James was different now. Every morning, he saw Deep making breakfast while Nee played by the window. That sight reminded him of what truly mattered. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low, Deep found him by the window, laptop open but untouched. His shoulders were tense. "Bad day?" she asked. James sighed. "The partners don't trust me anymore." "After the collapse? I can't blame them." Deep sat opposite him, calm but firm. "Then show them why they should trust you again." "You built this once. You can build again. Just don't lose yourself in the process." James smiled faintly. "You sound like a leader yourself." She chuckled. "Maybe I learned from one." At that moment, Nee ran in, waving a drawing. "Mommy, Daddy, look, it's our house." The drawing was chaotic but beautiful, 3 stick figures under a yellow sun. "We're all together, so no one's sad anymore, right?" Nee asked. Deep brushed her daughter's hair. "That's right, sweetheart. As long as we're together, we'll be fine." That night, after Nee fell asleep, James and Deep sat under the stars. The scent of night jasmine filled the air. "I almost gave up," James said. "If it weren't for you and Nee, I think I would have." Deep turned to him. "Then let every fall remind you someone's there to help you stand again." That's love, James. Not just being there when it's easy, but holding on when it's hard. He looked at her, heart full. "You've always been my reason to try again, and you've always been my reason to believe," she whispered. A new dawn. The next morning, sunlight painted the room in soft gold. Deep and Nee were still asleep, Deep's arm curled protectively around their daughter. James smiled. For the first time in months, the weight on his chest was gone. He brewed coffee, opened his laptop, and stared at the same documents that once filled him with dread. This time, they looked like opportunity. He began drafting a new plan, not for wealth or status, but for sustainability, community, and meaning. When Deep appeared in the doorway, smiling, he said, "It's time to start again." "Properly, this time?" she teased. "Properly," he confirmed. Later that day, they visited his old office. It was empty, dust-covered, but full of memories. Instead of grief, James felt determination. "I'll build something that lasts," he said. "Not just a company, but a future for us." Deep nodded, eyes bright. "And I'll be right beside you." Under the fading light, they stood together. No storm, no failure, no scar could break them now. The bloom of a new life. Weeks passed. James and Deep began again with something small, an agricultural project in their hometown, built on trust, love, and lessons learned. James worked alongside farmers, while Deep led community programs. Nee's laughter filled their days, a constant reminder of what mattered. One evening, as the sun set over the fields, James returned home to find Deep and Nee on the porch. Nee was drawing, Deep humming softly. The golden light wrapped around them like a blessing. James sat beside them. "What are you drawing, sweetheart?" "Our family," Nee beamed. "You, Mommy, and me. We're all smiling." James's heart trembled. That single word, Daddy, meant more than every success he'd ever chased. He looked at Deep. "Every time I wanted to give up, it was your smile that pulled me back." She took his hand. "And it was your strength that helped us stand again. The world had tested them. But love had taught them how to rise." For James, that quiet evening wasn't just peace, it was victory. Not the kind built on money or fame, but on heart.